This is a little difficult video for us to make.
Yep. We didn't get a video out last Monday.
Or actually the Monday before that.
We had something going on in our lives that took priority.
There's been a lot of stress, a lot of illness, and some death in our family. And we've been dealing with that for a couple of months.
Yep.
It kind of came to a head over the past couple of weeks.
We had to let the lovely Pat go.
Our dear Temperance had been with us for 16 years. She'd been quite ill for a couple of months, and it finally got to the point where we were going to have to let her go. And we're going to miss her deeply. But that consumed a lot of our time and a lot of our attention.
Mm-hmm.
We've also been dealing with your mother.
Yep.
And she was very ill. We thought she was going to die in a hospital a long ways away.
And as you can see, I'm very emotional at the moment. And there's a voice in my head that says, you've got to hide this. I don't have to hide this. I don't want to suppress my feelings. I want to feel my feelings. And yes, there are places where I need to be more aware of and in control of my feelings, but I am not going to shut my feelings off. So we haven't done our intro yet.
No.
So we are the sexagenarian sages.
And we're here to bust the myths of sex and aging.
And today we're talking about love and loss because they go together.
You can't. Grief is something that comes along with love. You cannot love without loss. Let me repeat that. I'm sure many of you know this. You cannot love without there being loss. Things come to an end. In this case, it was life. Grief is that price you pay for that love. But ask yourself this. Do you really want to go through life without loving so that you can avoid grief and loss?
I want to speak to that a bit.
Go ahead.
There was a period of my life where I did shut down. I numbed myself out. And it was still painful. I wasn't avoiding the pain. It was just a different type of pain. And yet, when I think of all the years we had with Temperance, all the years I've had with you, all the other places where I've allowed myself the vulnerability of loving, and how full those years were. Yes, it's painful now, but I don't want to give up those years just to avoid the pain.
And you know what's kind of funny? Is that if you say, well, I'm not going to love because it will hurt, you still have the hurt. Loss, grief are going to be there in life, whether you love or not.
And understanding how to manage that grief when it happens is important. There's an awful lot of people out there who don't want to talk about death. They don't have wills, they don't have other legal documents they need. They just would prefer to put it off. But then what happens when it does happen?
It eventually will come. It's something you can't avoid.
So you learn how to feel your emotions. Something else that comes up frequently is, well, I don't want to feel sadness. I don't want to feel anger. Those are negative emotions. Emotions aren't positive or negative. They're emotions. Allow them. Let yourself feel them, because otherwise you turn yourself numb, and you cannot selectively turn off your emotions. You turn off the sadness. You turn off the anger. You're going to turn off the happiness and joy curiosity, so many other emotions, because you can't selectively turn off emotions.
Those positive ones will go away too, and you'll end up with a dull, gray life. And for those of you out there who are thinking, well, strong person doesn't show their emotions. The truly strong person is the one who can be vulnerable, can show those emotions, and maintain their internal integrity and self-respect. Because we are emotional creatures. And if you deny that, if you refuse to admit to it, it doesn't make you stronger. It just makes you a fool, someone who doesn't want to accept who and what they really are.
And I will say that in that case, there's one particular emotion that's overriding all the others: fear. You have a fear of either showing your emotions or perhaps feeling your emotions, but there's still an emotion that's running everything. It's fear.
As coaches, this is one of the things we deal with our clients a lot. Helping them to come to grips with their emotions, to stop judging their emotions, and to stop judging themselves for having emotions.
Now, we had a conversation a couple of days ago about ways of dealing with grief. One of the things I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to cry when I need to cry. There are times when I am not in a place to do that. I was at a business meeting recently and got hit with a wave of grief. So maybe you have to excuse yourself for a moment and step out while you get yourself back under control. And then later on, let yourself release, let yourself cry. I have cried more in the last 2 months than I probably have in the last 5 years. So that's important. And in fact, one of the things that one of our mentors likes to say is tears are orgasm through the eyes.
Yeah.
Because it's important to allow those emotions their expression.
Ritual is another interesting tool to add in to handling emotions. Our species has been using rituals around death since time immemorial. And it is an important way of being able to complete, to tie up those loose ends, to find the closure that you're looking for, that you need. And it provides a sense of importance to what has taken place.
And rituals vary from culture to culture. In the culture here in the Northeast of the US that I'm used to, the ritual involves what are showing hours?
Calling hours,
awake, and sharing memories of the loved one. Other cultures have different ways. I actually envy some of the cultures in the Mideast where you see them on the TV, where they're screaming.
Just wailing.
Wailing.
Allowing that emotion out.
Yep. I actually kind of envy them because I don't feel the freedom here to do that in a public way. I do it in a private way. But at a funeral, for example, it feels like our society doesn't know how to handle that. So the person who's grieving ends up having to take care of everybody else because they don't want to make everybody else uncomfortable.
So what's our final point from all of this today? Number one is to understand that even if you try and avoid love so you won't have grief, grief is still going to come up in all sorts of ways in your life. If you will allow yourself to love, then you have that positive side of the grief, something that gives the grief that bittersweet quality.
And I did have one more piece of how to deal with it. Reach out for support, whether that's family or loved ones, whether it's finding a grief support group. We actually found out during our cat's last days that there is a pet grief support group here in Syracuse. Or reach out to a counselor or your clergy. Find support. You do not have to go through this alone.
Thanks for watching.
Mhm.
Subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, do so. Share this video and like it.
Mhm. So
Thanks for watching.
thank you for watching. Okay.